It's done. It's done. Scotty, wake up! It's done.
What?
It's done.
It's done?
Yes.
All of it?
All of it.
Are you serious?
Waylon, Daniel, get in here.
What's up? Is it finished?
After 1 year, 1 month, and 11 days, it's finally done. Get in here, check it out.
Oh.
Let me tell you, when people hear this, they're gonna be starving for this shit.
This better be good. Let's hear it.
In the beginning, yeah. In the beginning.
Is it good? Cool. You guys like the new hair? So I guess the best place to start would be when we started wrapping up Dark Matter. Scotty McRib was featured on a Jared Dines video. Undead Empire got covered by quite a lot of reaction channels. The whole band got to go to NAMM 2019 together. And we went on an 11-state, 2-week tour that we called the Kiss Our Jobs Goodbye Tour, and we came back with another video for that one too. After all that, we were kind of done with Dark Matter and we started working on our second album. We pretty much made like a very cheap at-home demo that we showed to a list of recording engineers that we wanted to work with. And when we did Saint Anger Reimagined along the side of that, we initially kind of wanted that to just be like a standalone single on its own. If everything went according to plan, that album was meant to come out by about April 2021. And then everything went wrong. Scotty suffered a car accident the day before he was supposed to go into the studio. We burned through almost every recording engineer that we wanted to work with. Our mixing engineer ghosted us and never delivered any final projects to us. Scotty had massive bass tracking delays that went on for over a year. The actress that was going to be in the Saint Anger video ended up quitting the day of filming. Scotty suffered another car accident. Waylon's fucking house burned down. And then 2020 happened. Pretty much the entire music industry was put on hold. This meant that we couldn't book any studio time. We pretty much went the full home studio route and ended up buying all of our own equipment. And learning how to use it was frustrating. Are you fucking kidding me? Fucking Focusrite piece of shit. I was right in the middle of that take. But I think worst of all, we couldn't make any money from gigging. Most of our income comes from playing shows and touring and just actually getting ourselves out there like that. But now we had to start self-funding everything that we were doing. And when we have to self-fund everything, that doesn't mean that we're not going to put anything out. It just means that progress slows down to a snail's pace. This one Saint Anger cover that we thought would be the only thing we released before the next album, that wasn't going to cut it anymore because it was going to be like another 1.5 years at best before the next album comes out. Because of that, we had to think of some other thing that we could release in the meantime, but the only song that we all collectively knew how to play was Dead Skin Mask by Slayer. We had no original material saved up and we needed some like right then and there. So we had a bit of a problem.
That's when I pitched the idea of releasing a second EP to the rest of the band.
Now it's too late. Now it's too late. Now.
We hadn't released any music in nearly 4 years, so it was a great idea for a marketing standpoint. Secondly, admittedly, as I was taking the time to unmess up my technique, it gave them something to do while I was working on that. And then thirdly, our second album is going to be a concept album. It's going to be the weirdest fucking thing we've ever done. With that all in mind, this is going to be a nice transition between those two. Since we didn't want to repeat the same mistake of having no additional material to release between a very long release window between two albums, we wanted to take the time to ensure we had a system that would allow us to make lots of new material that we could use whenever we want. What we came up with was the 3-song method. All 4 of us were going to write 3 songs each, and only one from each of us was going to be chosen to appear on the EP. Despite all of us only getting 1 song each in this EP, we decided to record all of them. Why? Because we can.
So if you guys need a little bit of an idea of just how in-house this has been done, this is just my own computer desk, and this is my table of shit. All stuff that I bought recently. I got claves, maracas, using this condenser mic right here. This Focusrite I had to buy specifically because this Tascam 4x4 It's terrible. Don't ever buy Tascam. I even have this MIDI get out of here. I have this MIDI controller with a little drum pad, little wheel. This wheel was the reason I got this thing in the first place, and you'll see why on one of the songs, Cyberocracy. As far as sound isolation goes, whenever we do vocals, we basically have our carpet. This is the... Bring it back up. And this is the way we do vocals in this room. It's terrible.
Not gonna lie, there was a huge learning curve to figuring that stuff out.
Chase! Snap! Dance! Sing! Ah! Kitty. Dance! Sing! You bitch! Why?
I take it Focusrite lost sync again?
It did.
God damn it.
Now, once the instruments were finally done being tracked, we had time to do vocals, which we did, and you guessed it, in our bedroom.
Long time ago, I saw this behind the scenes on Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. They didn't go to like a professional studio to do the vocals. They just laid a microphone against the corner of a wall so that there wouldn't be any sound bouncing around all over the place. And the idea was that in order to get the best benefit out of it, you had to just put your face right up in that corner, like as close as it possibly goes. So this is pretty much the Chester Bennington method, which we're going to see how well this works. It's questionable, but if it worked for Hybrid Theory, I mean, who's to say it's not a good idea?
Works for me. We're positive we've seen it somewhere. It's kind of like a little Schrodinger's cat of a video. We're not certain if it exists or if it doesn't, but surprisingly, it worked. Honestly, there was a lot less echo, a lot less feedback, and still sounded like the walls a little bit, but it worked. Once we had our songs picked from the ones that we recorded, we sent them off to high-grade mixing and mastering professionals such as Ulrich Weil of Pantera, Deftones, and Deathclock fame, Zach Oren, who's worked with Oblivion and Machine Head, and Nick Patello, who's worked with Kinefret. What this would mean is even though we recorded this all in our rooms, it wouldn't sound like it. Now, with the material on this new EP going into the material for the album, it actually starts to feel like we finally found what sounds like Gürschach, what sounds like our signature sound. And I already know that line might make old fans cringe, but please hear us out. A lot of the material that was written on Beautiful Nightmares and Dark Matter was written by X and Leyland, our original two members, when they were still in fucking high school, dude. In particular, Beautiful Nightmares, for me especially, I was learning bass to record the material on that record. Beautiful Nightmares was mixed and mastered in fucking Audacity, and alongside of that, recorded at colleges for free. We're definitely night and day from there, and in fact, here's a little snippet to compare the two of them. So with the EP, these are my 3 songs.
To Proxima Earth.
These are the 3 that I wrote.
I couldn't come up with a third, so these are the 2 that I wrote.
And I misunderstood the assignment. I only wrote 1 song.
Of the 11 songs that we had to choose from for the EP, these are the 5 that made it.
So, back in late 2019, I actually discovered this webcomic series called I'm the Grim Reaper. It's about this woman who dies and goes straight to hell, but the devil actually works out a deal where she becomes the Grim Reaper and has to collect a soul every 24-hour cycle, or else she is sent to the 9th layer of hell. I pretty much fell in love with it immediately upon reading it, and I was like, I gotta write a theme song for this. So that's what we ended up doing. We wrote this song in the style of like an anime intro that you would see at the very beginning of a series. We even sent a demo recording of it to the author herself, and she even gave us her approval on it. We even liked the idea so much that we sent an email to the company and see if we could work some deal out with each other. Then the company chose another band to do the exact same idea that we had come up with. We're not here to start drama or anything because the band that did it did a pretty good job with it, all things considered. However, this did seriously affect our motivation to even make the music video that we wanted to make for this one. We actually wanted to do something really cool with a martial artist who could mess around with a bow staff. We had costumes figured out, locations. We even had an actress from Florida who was willing to fly out for this video of ours. But it's hard. It's hard to say if it's even a good idea if we're just second place and know that we're not going to receive as much support as we wanted to. I mean, either way, we're going to release the song. From the very beginning, it was just meant as an homage to the original series. And even with that in mind, it still kind of has a lot of uniqueness to it, and there's plenty to be proud of too. For instance, it's actually mixed and mastered by none other than Ulrich Wilde. Not just that, but it's the first song that we ever wrote keyboard parts for. It probably has by far the widest range of any style of song that we have written too, from alt metal to slam. What I'd like to say about this song is that we always have at least one song on every release that just combines every style of what we're doing into one short track. That would definitely be this one. So my number one hope is that this song might reach the author of the original series, and hopefully she likes how it turned out. So Graveweaver, if you're watching this, I hope that our song did your series justice.
But it is going to bother you because you're human, and I was human. I am human, still. But
when I was tasked to do my 3 songs for the EP, I made it a point to write in styles outside of what we normally do for our music. We chose my track after all 3 of them are fully recorded, and after deliberating, we chose Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg was a song that I wrote to bring in my love of industrial music with artists such as Ministry, Author and Punisher, and 9 Inch Nails as major inspirational points where I wanted to have the theme of the song center on this digital age and technology and how the world is changing rapidly. However, we didn't want a Mr. Bungle Travolta situation where, the song name would have to be changed to avoid being sued, so now it's called Cyberocracy. Cyberocracy, from the roots cyber and crossy, signifies rule by way of information, especially when using interconnected computer networks. With Cyberocracy being a song with a more industrial focus, it made sense to talk about something relevant with what that music portrays. We found that being in the Bay Area, being surrounded by all these tech giants around us, at least until they move out of state to Texas, we see that in a lot of ways, these companies have enabled us to live 2 lives. We have our in-person lives where we're just communicating with everybody in person, and then online, we have our digital lives where we can be whatever we want. This way that they've enabled it has also enabled a way that they sell our data, they profit off of creating a platform that promotes narcissism, outrage, virtue signaling, misinformation, just to name a few things, all the while turning a profit. In fact, I bet you're selling your data watching this video right now, Helen. Now, with that all being said, what if the government suddenly decided that they wanted to take control of this, if they wanted to take everything over? We look at it from the eyes of somebody who has taken complete control over everything. And it's definitely a bleak outcome, but it's not an impossibility, especially with the way things seem to keep going. Considering that this song was built on my enjoyment of industrial music, I wanted to make it as true to form as possible. And a big part of that includes using samples. So we threw a bunch of yard noises in there. We threw some 90s era shotgun blasts and a lot of other fun stuff. We were like, f it, let's throw keyboards in there. And for our CD listeners, there is a soundbite that we included from one of our main teenage heroes who passed away recently. Despite all those new additions that we took into this song, it still sounds like Gürschach. It's still got those in-your-face metal riffs, and it's got those groovy drums. Alongside of that, I got to work in a lot of my bass pedals in there. Of course, even though we picked Cyberocracy, my other 2 songs definitely weren't ones to scoff at.
You have all trusted the globalists for far too long, just for them to make a deal with hippie, communists, aliens in the sky.
Instead of putting them out right now, we're focusing on the great, big, ambitious album 2 that we're still been working on for more than a year now. It's not impossible that in the future we may release them, but they're gonna stay locked away. Good luck finding the key.
begin with this song? During the entire recording process, it was only referred to as that fucking song.
Now for this EP, we only had 3 rules because we were recording everything at home. 1, no acoustic guitars. 2, no drum solos. And 3, no gang vocals. And then a certain dirty blonde tinkle broke all the fucking rules. So we had to do gang vocals at the end of the day. We had no idea how we were going to do it work. How are we going to make 100 people fit in this room? Now, there's videos on TikTok of people making multiple voices if you're over there with no friends doing it with yourself. All you got to do is change your voice like this, or like this, or like this. The point being is, with that, you can accomplish a gang vocal effect.
Ho! 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 Ho!
Now this is what we end up with. Doesn't even sound like us.
It sounds like a crowd of angry white dudes, and that's exactly what we were going for.
Yep. Angry white dudes, that's a rap.
The Incarceration Proclamation was actually the very first Gürschach song where I was solely responsible for spearheading the entire writing process of it. I will admit, I was terrified. Had no idea what I was doing, because generally during the time I've been in Gürschach, I generally contribute by, let's say I just come up with my own little riff, and then I'm just, noodling on it during practice, and one of the other guys hears it and they're like, oh wait, I'm currently in the middle of writing something, I think that would go perfect in one particular part of it. Okay, cool. I will admit, I had zero idea of what I wanted or what direction I wanted to go in up until about the very end of the writing process. Most of the early days of trying to write the song were just sitting around just trying to figure out and think, what do I want? How do I want this song to sound? Oh, well, what if we did some post-rock stuff? What if we did some Gojira stuff? What if we did a Mastodon song?
Hey, this sounds pretty Mastodon sounding, but I bet we could make it even more Mastodon sounding.
You put your hand over your nose like this, and you go, how, how, how.
Things like that, but I never really had a direction or an idea to go into. I was just writing riffs, put one riff with another riff, see what would come together just by chance. There were several occasions where actually Scotty and I would meet up at his practice space and we'd just jam. And that was hugely helpful. Yeah, truthfully, big learning experience for me. Very, very lost most of the way. Couldn't have done it without X and Scotty. However, once we got the main initial skeleton down, that's when everything started, all the pieces starting to fall together, everything started to flow. There was no such thing as a bad idea, which in hindsight was probably a bad idea in its own, but I think what we ended up with in the end was actually, pretty dope. And I'm hoping, later on we can just keep on writing more and more, cool ass shit, man.
Oh my god, I'm still talking about this fucking song. I mean, what could be said about saying anything that we haven't already said at this point? It quickly became the most popular track that we ever put out. Well, at least until Welcome to Metal Talk. Welcome to Metal Talk. Have a look around. Alex Hefner did a reaction video for it.
Good for the Gürschach guys. This was a good move. Taking a song by Metallica that people are like, man, that, and then just crushing it on their version.
We had articles printed on it from Metal Sucks to Metal Hammer Germany to a bunch of others, and it quickly blew up big time on Spotify too. Ultimately, Saint Anger pretty much outperformed all of our early expectations. However, not much was said about how exhausting that process was. Pretty much from the very beginning of us making it, it just felt like no one had faith in us. We ended up losing a whole bunch of our production staff in the middle of making it. Showgoers were just constantly lambasting our song choice on that regard. Building hype for it was really difficult because there's just no excitement around that song. Not only that, but the people who were excited to hear that song were constantly complaining because it was taking forever. I mean, look, 2020 happened.
But it's taking quite a while for Covers Week to kind of make its way around.
You can blame blame a certain band, which we won't name, which rhymes with Gürschach.
Yes.
But we didn't spare a single expense. No other song we ever put out cost as much as Saint Anger Reimagined. We went through hundreds of takes to make sure that the performances were perfect. When we were writing the song, we dissected every single second to make sure everything was where it belonged. And that was because we were up against the wealthiest, biggest metal band of all time. If we were going to have ourselves that much competition, we knew there had to be no room for improvement. It had to be perfect or it was going to suck. Now, we regularly get people who ask us to reimagine the rest of Saint Anger. Look, I know you've got the best of intentions and we love you for it, but no. I mean, unless we were commissioned to do it, but no, none of us want to relive that hell again. I mean, before the song was even put out, we didn't even expect to put it on an official release of ours. But due to the high demand and how much people loved it, we ended up including it sort of as like a thank you to those who were fans and supported us. Hopefully, one of these days, we'll be able to see that same success for one of our own songs. Also, just so you know, Metallica still hasn't responded to us. We're still waiting. Our line is still open.
So this song has been a part of me for as long as I can remember. I remember from even our very first show, when I was in the car, I would listen to that song in my iPod to try to memorize the song to get it just right. I really didn't want to mess the show up, but I ended up doing it anyway. It was our first show, you know. And ever since then, we would just go on to play this song every Christmas season. We would even open it with the bastardized version of Jingle Bells.
Dashing through the snow on a pair of broken skis. Over the hills we go, smashing into trees.
So after all this time, now we're heading in a new direction, and this is probably the last chance we can record this properly and officially. Since we pretty much ran out of new material and we really needed to release something for next year, we decided to pull this song since we all knew it already. And then after this, there may not be any new covers for a while. With this cover, we actually changed a few things. We made the guitar solos unique to us. We made the voices in the background a little more creepy.
Oh, I've waited for you to come. I've been here all alone.
But overall, it's pretty faithful to the original. There really wasn't much needed to be done. Now, the lyric video was actually created by my boy Josh, who's known us since the very beginning. He even did the lyric video for The Night the Sky Rain Nukes, and since then his animation has gotten a lot better. Because of that, it only made sense to bring him along for Dead Skin Mask as well. And when we told him the concept of our video, he was down to do it immediately. Part of it was based off of Pink Floyd's music video, Marooned. In this video, there's an old guy being chased around every corner of this old rundown building. You know, as if you're following him around to discover his secrets. From our perspective, it's kind of creepy just chasing this old man around who's just trying to mind his own business. But then we thought, what if we made a video the other way around, where it's in our perspective and we're the ones chasing down this old man down the hallway. Since Dead Skin Mask was a song written about Ed Gein, it made most sense to do it for that song. This was actually the first song we recorded at Altman Studios, and now it's our go-to place. We actually went there to record the songs I made for the EP, but all the time we had left, we could only just do it in one take. We just tacked it onto the same session as Dead Skin Mask. And honestly, it's all just a blur to me at this point. I literally blocked it from my memory. We might have just run out of time, so we just decided to stick with what we got. And you know what? It seemed like a good idea back then, but to be honest, it really wasn't, dude. So, for whatever reason, there was a bunch of technical difficulties when we started recording. So I guess the studio's hard drive mixed up my files with somebody else's, and you know, it just got lost that way. My click track just went out, and then I had to just wing it the entire way. Leyland just looped the same two melodies over and over again. X, of course, was playing way too loudly, and it caused massive clipping spikes. And Scotty, oh my god. Scotty just straight up forgot to hit the fucking record button. Cheers to that. There was just no saving it, dude. It was a train wreck from the start. Look, I know all the other guys are just trying to make it seemed like we just put out nothing but great shit all the time. But to tell you the truth, if I'm being 100% real with you, there was just some bad shit in there. We don't hit it out of the park sometimes. That's just the way it is, you know? But you know what? If I'm being honest, I just want to redo all those tracks again, just so that we're better prepared. So as a result, I decided not to include these songs on the EP. Cheers. So is that it? I'm done? Yeah. Whatever, dude. I don't have anything else to say.
As for the title of the EP, Hypnotic Disasters, X and I actually came up with the title shortly after the 2020 explosion that happened in Beirut. We came up with the words hypnotic disaster because we were fascinated by this whole concept and this idea that when something tragic happens or like something super, super awful is happening right in front of you, whether it's, in person, whether it's in a video, people are like intrinsically drawn to it. One half of your brain is like, oh, that's awful. Oh my God. But the other side of your brain is like, oh, well, that's really cool looking. That's crazy. It's so weird. You just can't stop watching it. It's almost like people are like vicariously drawn to tragedy in a weird way. And that's kind of what we were trying to get at, the mesmerizing of tragedy.
And we portrayed that idea visually with the artwork as well. One of the biggest problems that plagues the Bay Area is forest fires. I mean, it happens so frequently that we have a thing for it that we call fire season. And yet, no one really seems to give a shit, at least not until it's in their backyard, but by then, it's already too late. Credit goes to NJD for the artwork itself, and also big shout out to Manga Coiffer for animating it for the lyric video of Dead Skin Mask. Every time we put out a new release, these are the guys who do the best job of visually bringing to life the music we write. Should probably let you guys know now that Hypnotic Disasters is not going to be around forever because it is just a limited release. We recorded it using all this equipment that we bought just for the second album that we're working on, and because of that, this is a more DIY project that we did strictly to get more profits to fund our sophomore release. Because of that, once the second album is actually out, the production for Hypnotic Disasters is going to cease.
We also have bundle deals which include the EP and our Dark Matter album for those who do not have it, as well as the EP and the shirt that commemorates its release.
Make no mistake, the whole purpose of this is to fund our second album. Because of how ambitious it is in scope, we are coming up with everything we can to fund it. Every copy of Hypnotic Disasters that sells is going to go towards Album 2. All of our merchandise sales and touring is going to go towards Album 2. We're even considering starting a Kickstarter campaign just to fund Album 2. However, even though Hypnotic Disasters was written as a way to fund the sophomore release, we didn't just cut corners just to release a quick buck. No, we poured all of our shit into this one, just like we would with any other release. In fact, we believe that these 5 songs even rival the production and quality of our debut album, Dark Matter. So, if you're a Gürschach fan, you're going to want this release either way.
We also are going to be commemorating the release of this EP with a release show at Uproar Brewing Company in San Jose with White Fuzzy Bloodbath, Frolic, and In Spades as support. We're going to perform the EP in its entirety as part of the set, which we're probably not going to do that very much, so you don't want to miss this. After we completely destroy the Uproar Brewing Company, we're going to be going on our first week-long tour since the whole pandemic, the Is It Safe to Come Out tour. Notable stops on the tour are going to include Tulare, LA and San Diego, Phoenix, El Paso, Texas, and Albuquerque, New Mexico for the first time ever. So consider this our official release date announcement. Hypnotic Disasters, the EP, will be released on CD and as well as all streaming services such as Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Apple Music, Tidal, what have you, by January 14th, 2022 by midnight PST.
If you are looking to get a copy of this EP, there are a few different ways you can do it. You can click on the music page at Gürschach.com/store, or you can click on the purchase links at the bottom of this video the day of the EP being dropped.
We're going to be playing a lot of shows this coming year, so any show that we're on is going to be put on our website.
We will be promoting this EP far and wide upon its release. As mentioned earlier, we might have a Kickstarter campaign, but We also might be considering a remix contest as well. We have all the stems collected for each track, and we might even just release them out to you guys so that you can come up with something of your own.
And one last thing you shouldn't forget. Shot in the Gut 3 at 10,000
Hey, Scotty, you noticed how, like, Quentin has been, like, begging me to show my palms to everybody? Like, yeah, that's what this is about. I've been, like, hiding my disgusting palms from the world. That's why I wear these, right? Hey, Quentin. Fuck you, bitch. Team Gürschach.